To those outside of power exchange, a submissive being told to wear a collar may look like being bound or forced, somehow coerced. But to the submissive, the collar is sacred. It symbolizes belonging, identity, devotion. It's about surrender, not just to someone else, but to their role, their purpose. It's a visible representation of an inner agreement, an inner alignment. And while I don't wear a collar physically, I've come to see that I do indeed wear one. Not as a burden or a shame, but as a mark of my devotion to something higher, to the I am within me. For a long time, I thought submission was weakness. I grew up in an environment where obedience was demanded, but it was rarely explained in a way that made sense to me, where the body was treated like a liability, where desire was suspicious and control, especially my own self-control, really meant self-suppression. But over time, my journey invited me into a different kind of understanding, one that felt less like religious performance and more like relationship, one that honored the body not as a problem to solve, but as a vessel of the divine. Jesus said in John 10:27, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." That verse finally got through to me one day, because I realized this isn't about fear. It's not about force. It's about recognition. I follow because I know the voice, because I trust the one who calls me. That, to me, is the essence of submission. And that's the significance of the collar. In Isaiah 49:16, God says, "See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands." That is marking. That's intimacy. That's the kind of relationship where identity is not up for grabs. It's secured. It's claimed. In this world, the body and spirit are not separate. This is why Romans 12:1 doesn't say give God your thoughts. It says present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Our bodies are spiritual, and for some of us, those of us who felt the sting of shame over who we are or what we desire or how we express ourselves, the collar becomes a powerful metaphor. And when a sub of mine wears one, it's not only a symbol to her, it also reminds me that I'm not my past. I'm not a slave to fear. I'm bound to love. I'm surrendered to the voice that calls me deeper. I belong. So what's your collar? Like mine, it may not be physical at all, but some of you know the feeling, that quiet inner yes. That moment when you stopped running and said, all right, here I am. In Matthew 11:29, Jesus said, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." During my religious days, that verse felt like a lie. I was so often tired and so confused by my religion, but I didn't understand the difference between being controlled and being connected. The yoke spoken of isn't a leash. It's a lifeline. It's alignment. And alignment is what the collar represents. Alignment to the agreement chosen together. In my spiritual experience, it's not about being beneath someone. It's about being beneath something that I've chosen. I've submitted not to a man-made system, but to a truth that's bigger than me, to love, to spirit, to my glorious I am. I've come to realize that freedom isn't the absence of restraint. It's the presence of devotion. That's why Paul could write in Galatians 5:1, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." He's talking about man-made law. He's talking about religious performance, about earning love. But the kind of collar I'm speaking of, it's not a burden at all. It's not a rule. It's a sign of freedom, because I've chosen it. I said yes to it. That's the difference. In BDSM, a submissive who wears a collar does so willingly, joyfully. They're often ecstatic to get one, often after a long process of trust building and surrender. There's no coercion in that kind of devotion, only love. And that's how I've come to see my own walk with God, not as rule following, but as relationship, not as control, but as connection. So when I speak about kink, I use terms like submission or collar or even sadomasochism. When I say these things, I'm not trying to be edgy for the sake of being edgy. I'm drawing on deep wells of meaning. Because if we look closely, these things echo what Scripture has always taught. Love marks us. Surrender transforms us. Freedom is found in devotion, certainly not rebellion. I don't need a physical collar to remind me of who I belong to, but I do feel it every time I turn inward and listen. Whenever I honor the truth of my being, I remember that I'm not lost, I'm not alone, I'm certainly loved. And maybe this is for you too. Have you been trying to live free but still feel unanchored? Does the idea of surrender feel more like giving up than coming home? Because your own caller is waiting. And it's not waiting to shame you. It's waiting to affirm you. You belong. You are marked. You are free. If you felt the weight of shame or the ache of not belonging, then I want to thank you for staying with me this far. This journey we're on of integrating the flesh and spirit, finding God not outside of us but right here, isn't easy with all the noise and conditioning that screams otherwise, but it is sacred. And if you're here listening, feeling something stirring you, you're not alone. You don't have to throw away your sensuality to be spiritual. You don't have to exile your body to be holy, and you don't have to keep performing for love. You were made from love. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm here to remind you of what you already know, that the I am in you is waiting for your yes. So whether you wear a collar or you carry one in your heart, whether you've been hiding from your own truth or starting to walk in it, I see you and I honor your path. If this resonated with you, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, reach out to me in a call, support the channel, just hang out. I'm building a community for those of us who are ready to stop choosing between pleasure and presence. We're no longer going to wrestle between truth or belonging. We were never meant to split ourselves in two. Until next time, walk in your knowing. And remember your freedom in the bondage you choose. See you next time.